This meeting is being recorded, just to share that with you. Good afternoon, everyone, committee members and members of the public. My name is Andy Hanshaw. I am honored to be serving as, albeit brief, your chair for today's Bayshore Bikeway working group meeting for Wednesday, April 28th, 2021. It's nice to see everyone. Why don't we begin with some introductions of the Bayshore Bikeway Working Group Committee members. And I will, why don't we start with you, Councilmember Galvez?
Oh, thank you, Andy. I'm Jill Galvez, and I represent Chula Vista District 2 Northwest since 2018. And since I've been a member of the Bayshore Bikeway Committee since basically joining the Chula Vista City Council. And it's very nice to see you all and the new members. This is a nice committee. Thank you.
Thank you. City of Coronado?
Greetings, everybody. Mike Donovan, council member from the city of Coronado. Been a member of this working group since 2017. Thanks.
Thank you, council member. City of National City.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Marcus Bush, council member in the city of National City.
Thank you. City of Imperial Beach.
Good afternoon, everyone. Matthew Leyba Gonzalez, city councilman for the newly allotted area of District 4 in Imperial Beach. This was the first year with district elections. Previously, everything was at large. So I'm very excited to be a part of this group as of November. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. City of San Diego. Anyone?
I think she is just logging on, Andy.
Okay. Let's see, who else is on the committee that have I missed anyone?
Andy, this is Vivian Moreno.
There you are. Welcome, council member.
Thank you. I apologize for being late. I'm trying to make $1 out of 15 cents today, and it's been rough, but I'm happy to be here today.
Thank you. We're happy to have you. And
Andy, council member or Supervisor Vargas did have a conflict, and Mr. Wywoody is also on the committee, but I do not see him.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Just a couple of meeting notes before we get started. Please use the raise hand feature to comment. Should you have a question or a comment on anything that's presented. And there will be a couple of action items related to the minutes and approving a chair and a vice chair, which we'll get to in a minute. But before we move any further, I wanted to inform members and members of the public that we'll be removing item number 7 related to the renaming of the Bayshore Bikeway from the agenda today, and for any further action at this time, just wanted to express my gratitude for the progress and you know, the work that had been put into it to date. And there's a staff report that was included on this item on the status of where that stands. But I wanted to share that, you know, we have heard from members of the community, and I want to respect that, and as well as you know, the opinion of wanting to provide up more opportunity for an open process in this big decision. So I appreciate all the comments that we have gotten in the feedback. But at this time, we're going to be tabling or pulling this item until further notice. So wanted to share that with you first and foremost. Any questions on that? Okay, thank you all. Next, we have approval of our minutes from our December 17th meeting. And I would ask for a motion.
Happy to make a
approve.
motion. This is Vivian.
Thank you, Councilmember Moreno. Is there a second?
Second from
second.
Coronado.
I'm sorry, who did that?
Second from Coronado.
Thank you, Councilmember Donovan. We can do this on a voice vote, Linda, yes?
I'll call roll.
Okay,
All right.
Thank you.
Great. Councilmember Galvez,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovan,
Yes.
Councilmember Leyba Gonzalez,
Aye.
Councilmember Bush,
Yes.
Councilmember Moreno,
Moreno, yes.
Mr. Henshaw,
yes?
Commissioner Narango,
We forgot to introduce her.
I'm sorry, did you say Naranjo?
yes.
Abstain.
Got abstain. And Mr. Wywoody is with us. All right, motion passes.
Thank you. My apologies, Commissioner. If you could introduce yourself.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Commissioner Sandy Naranjo, representing National City for the Port of San Diego. I was recently sworn in this year, January 3rd. I am joined by my two children, Frida and JJ, so you will be hearing them in the background, and I'm so happy to be here. Back to you.
Thank you. Very happy to have you as well, Commissioner. Okay, so now on the agenda, I would like, let me just step back for a second. Earlier today, we had, I had the pleasure and opportunity, as Councilmember Galvez shared, to be at the opening of the new Greg Cox Bike Park in Chula Vista, and what a nice event that was, and what a great community asset and amenity that will be to have their third bike park, or their second, and working on their third. So, but I did have the chance to talk to the former supervisor, Greg Cox, and we've never really been in a situation to approve a new chair or elect a new chair, given that Supervisor Cox has taken this role since the very beginning. So this is new territory, but we're excited. New leadership and new involvement from new committee members. And as I said, I'm honored to serve as your interim chair for the moment, but I'm very much looking forward to our selection of a chair and vice chair. So with that, I believe I can open it up to interested nominations from committee members and from the floor. So let's start with chair.
Sorry.
I think we forgot public comment.
Yeah, sorry, Andy. We have public comment first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Gosh. See, this is why you need a new chair. Public comment. Is there any members of the public who have would like to address the Bayshore Bikeway Working Group on any issue within the jurisdiction of the working group that is not on this agenda? And we ask that you please use the raise hand feature.
So I'll ask for some assistance here from John. I believe we had a couple public speakers. Randy Van Black. Let's see if you can help me with that, John.
Thank you, Chair and Linda. Just to clarify, is the opportunity to speak on the chair as a member of the public, is that in this session or as for the next item that was just introduced a moment ago?
That'll be the next item, Randy. My apologies.
Okay, I'll wait for that. I'd like to speak on the nomination of the chair once the
Thank you.
nomination has been made. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Others wishing to speak?
We have Maureen Reimer and possibly Bill Walton. I'll unmute Maureen first.
Okay.
There we go. Hi there. My name is Maureen Reimer. I taught for 35 years at Sweetwater High School. I am currently at Sweetwater because I am subbing for somebody. I'm a high school physics and chemistry teacher. And I ride the Bikeway almost every day. And I would like to please request that you do something about the rutted road that is between south of Palomar on Bay Boulevard. And then again, between J Street and what's the name of that street? It's north of J Street, but right when you exit where the marina is, that road is beyond rutted. It's just ridiculous how bad it is. And it's impossible to ride a bike. I ride a tricycle and the ruts are so bad. I have a spinal cord injury. It makes me worried that I'm going to hurt myself just going over all those ruts. And I know that I could go, there's a little pathway that goes between J Street and H Street. And I take that sometimes, but because of time constraints, I sometimes can't go that way. And I know that I could go up the hill when I'm on south of Palomar. I could go, there's another way to go, but the sign does not say that. And people go that way all the time. And it's just, it makes me embarrassed to be, I live in Chula Vista. It makes me embarrassed that area is so rutted and it's supposed to be an official part of the Bikeway. And yeah, it's so bad. Anyway, okay. And I understand that we're not talking about nominations to the council just yet. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Maureen. Are there any other public comments, Linda?
I believe Bill
Bill
Walton.
Bill.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, am I unmuted now?
Yes.
Okay, so a list of questions. Why are we withdrawing item number 7 on Greg Cox naming of the bike path? Why are we doing that?
At this time, I'm pulling it until a further time when we may have a more public process. There were there were concerns that this may not be the appropriate time to rename the Bikeway, and I want to respect people's opinions and considerations, as well as the process. And
Okay.
so it was my
Okay.
decision to pull at this time.
Okay, so now I've got some comments on the condition of the bike path. And following up on Maureen's comment, the train track crossing right there where J Street becomes Marina Parkway, just west of 5, when you're trying to get onto that little isolated path through the vacant lot there, which is a great path, but the train tracks there are just dangerous as can be, and they should be removed. And then the Salt Works section, that's about a quarter to 2/3 of a mile right through the Salt Works. why is that not been repaid? I mean, they're making money down there. They're running a business, and they have a street that is basically the bike path, and it's in terrible, terrible condition. And then the homeless problems on every bike path situation in San Diego, I think, is a mistake. And if these, if the homeless people were setting up camps in the front yard of our elected officials, something would be done about that. But the bike paths are where we live and ride and commute and do everything, and it is not safe, it's not healthy, and it needs addressing immediately. On the 54 bike path that goes out towards Sweetwater and the Plaza Bonita, just west of the 2nd Avenue Bridge, there is a giant earthquake crack. It's as if the earthquakes from Northern California have come to that one spot. And somebody was kind enough to go out there with some yellow paint and paint hazard signs all around it. But this is a developing and terribly unsafe earthquake crack right on the 54 bike path on the north side of the channel where the paved bike path is. And then the ongoing struggles that we have between 32nd Street and 8th Avenue on Harbor Drive. And when you're going southbound and trying to go from downtown or from Hillcrest or any part of the center city, and you're going southbound on there, the cracks, every 10 yards of a crack. Now the street pavement is fine there, it's perfect. But the bike path pavement has got a crack every 10 yards that makes it really impossible to ride on that. And then when you're going on the northbound side between 8th and 32nd Street on that designated path over there that's blocked off, which some of it is good, but as of yesterday, the northern part of that, as you get closer to 32nd Street, is just covered with litter and trimmings of plants. And both sides of that should be landscaped in between 32nd and 8th Street. And the landscaping on the southbound side should be the responsibility of the Navy. They landscape their gates, but they don't landscape in between. And it's just trash and rubbish and garbage and rocks. And then the northbound side, that should be the responsibility of the railroad to keep the plants cut back and make it nice. And then on the 28th Street and 32nd Street exit from the bike path, going up into the neighborhoods where people live. They're just not safe roads, and particularly on 28th Street between Maine and Boston, on the northbound side going up the hill is just terrible. And then on the 32nd Street road where you try to avoid 28th Street, you cannot navigate through there on a bicycle because there's just so much congestion with people getting onto and off of the base and people getting onto and off the freeway. And that whole area needs to be upgraded, maintained, and reworked in terms of bicycle safety. And those are my comments initially. And as we go through, and then the ultimate question is north of 32nd Street, between 32nd Street and 28th Street on Harbor Drive, going northbound. When is that going to be made bicycle friendly and bicycle available? Because right now you just, every time, no matter the time of day, you're taking your life in your own hands. And the cars are just going way too fast. There's no signs, there's no bike lanes. The pavement is in terrible condition. People are racing to get off of work and they're coming in and out of those parking lots. And it's just, it is a nightmare and a disaster. I've been asking about this for I don't know how many years I've been attending these meetings, and nothing has changed on literally all of my questions.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks, Bill, for your comments and your very strong support for seeing improvements made to the bikeway as someone who uses it all the time, and your comments and your support are greatly appreciated. And then hopefully maybe we'll hear some of those answers during the course of this meeting when we get to some project updates. So
Thank you.
thank you, Bill. Linda, are there any more comments from the
Yeah, I
public?
believe, John, do we have a couple more hands raised?
Yes, Maureen has her hand raised again, and Nicole Burgess. So I will allow Maureen to talk again. I think she can still unmute herself at this point.
All right, there we go. I want to second Mr. Walton's comments about the salt works. I've asked the city of Chula Vista to fix the pavement there, and they say it's in San Diego. And I asked San Diego, and they just ignored it because when you put the address, it's of course the address of the salt works, which is in Chula Vista. But the road is evidently the responsibility of San Diego. The little I think Mr. Walton is not muted or is still okay. The other thing is that I second that little piece on the north side of 54 where there is a crack. I swear to you, that was not there a month ago. But I am a Girl Scout leader. I take Girl Scouts on bike rides. I can't have them go on Harbor Drive at all. I can't have them go down that pathway. We had to get off our bikes and walk that little segment because it's a big ridge in the concrete and it's scary. I'm afraid to take kids on the bikeway when the conditions are so bad.
Thank you, Maureen. Nicole.
Good afternoon, Andy. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak, and board members. I'll just highlight and echo those voices from Bill Walton and Maureen. East Harbor Drive, and I was just going to comment in regards to City of San Diego. You know, I follow a lot of the resurfacing projects, and being on East Harbor Drive, I know this is a segment that we'll hear a status update on and hopefully hear some improvements, but they're still a few years out. My concern is that some of this space is concrete, so we're never going to see this as the resurfaced corridor for City of San Diego as part of their resurfacing efforts. And so perhaps we can make a specific request that the bike lanes that are specifically only asphalt, that they actually be part of a resurfacing project for this year. And so thank you, Councilmember Moreno, for being here, and hopefully city staff for hearing that comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Any other comments, Linda?
Any other hands raised, John?
I do not believe we have any other hands raised.
Okay, no further public comment.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, members of the public, for joining us and for sharing your comments. And like I said, I hope we hear some answers when we get to our project updates. Now we can move to item 4, which would be the selection of a chair and vice chair for this committee. Before we take nominations, I wanted Linda to have an opportunity to talk about maybe what those responsibilities entail. Since it's the first time we're doing this in a very, very long time. And so maybe you can summarize some of that, Linda.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. So we looking for a chair of and vice chair of the working group. And normally we strive to organize meetings of the working group as frequently as quarterly. The last few years probably been 2 to 3 times a year. So the chair is involved in setting the agenda for those meetings, any kind of background work needed for any of the items, that kind of thing, working with staff. And then, of course, chairing the meetings. There might be an occasion based on some of the recommendations or input from the committee that the chair will have some homework to do if it's making contacts or following up on things. And we work real closely with the chair on those kind of items. So hopefully that helps a bit.
Thank you. Any questions, or why don't we open it up to nominations for chair? And I will, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to jump in and make a nomination, but.
Yeah, go ahead. Who is this?
Oh, yeah. This is Board Commissioner Sandy Naranjo.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And yeah, I'd like to jump in and nominate my own city council member, Marcus Anthony Bush. The reason why I want to nominate him is because, first of all, my passion for the Bayshore Bikeway actually came from conversations I've had with him, because he is the biggest bicyclist advocate that I've ever known, and he has shown me and community members I've worked with about the connection of our bikeway and how it can help increase our access to our bay. And so, as Port Commissioner, we're looking at the Bayshore Bikeway on how it can be part of a revision, improving our National City Thailand. And I really think that it's fitting that we have Councilmember Bush chair this committee. And so I would like to motion to nominate him.
Thank you, Commissioner. Councilmember Bush, would you accept that nomination?
I do. It'd be honored. So I absolutely accept that. Thank you.
Andy, Councilman Leiber Gonzalez, I'd like to second that motion.
Thank you, Councilmember. So we do have a motion and a second for Marcus or Councilmember Marcus Bush to chair the committee. Are there any further comments or nominations at this time?
I believe we have some raised hands from the public.
Sure.
John,
Great.
you could help me with those.
Can we go with those?
Yes, I will start with Maureen, then Bill, then Mona Rios, then Randy, and Boris Fleck.
Marcus was my student way back in high school. We've kept in contact over the years. He was my student for 2 years in both physics and chemistry. So we're talking about a fairly intelligent person. We're also talking about somebody, I see him on the bikeway with his family. So when I'm riding around, I've run into him on several occasions. So I think that it would be highly appropriate for the person who's the chairman of the committee to be somebody who actually uses the bikeway and knows the concerns that we have about the conditions that are there. And plus, Marcus is good at organizing. He's good at delegating and making sure that things happen.
Thank you, Maureen. Next, Linda.
I think next is Bill Walton.
Thank you. I'm not sure if I know Marcus Bush or not, but he sure looks like a fine fellow from his picture and his speaking. And I would just like to hear from him what his vision would be for what we're trying to do here.
Thanks. Let's go through the public comments and then maybe hear from the council member after that. Linda?
Councilmember Rios.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for giving me this time. Hi, everyone. I'm Mona Rios, and I believe I know most of you, but for those who don't, I'm a third-term council member in National City. I initially served on the Bayshore Bikeway Working Group in 2011 to approximately 2014-15, when Greg approached me and informed me there was a vacancy for National City's representation. I was again reappointed to National City, to this working group in 2019. But when I learned that Marcus Bush had been elected to council in 2020, I did not hesitate to recommend him to serve on this working group. I've known Councilmember Bush for approximately 12 years, and he has always been an avid commuter and cyclist. He shares his passion with his friends and his family, and if you are out, like was said earlier, you will see him on the bikeway with his children. When he attended school in Oregon, he was able to engage and absorb Portland's thriving biking culture, and he has always promoted a bikeway as a regional transportation facility. His past experience as a Sandag planner, a planning commissioner chair, actually the youngest in National City's history, his career as an urban planner, a master's in real estate development, and a former policy advisor on land use and transportation issues, has contributed to his growing network, collaboration skills, and relationship building in the biking community, and with all of our city transportation agencies and the County of San Diego. Marcus's analytical and good communication skills and the desire to make a difference, and with his forward thinking, will take Greg's work to the next level. I strongly encourage you, along with several regional leaders that include National City Mayor, to support Marcus Bush as chair of the Bayshore Bikeway, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Councilmember Rios. Nice to see you.
And Mr. Van Vleck.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for your time this evening. My name is Randy Torres Van Vleck. I'm the Director of Policy and Planning at the City Heights CDC. I'm also a co-founder of Bike Walk Chula Vista, and I'm proud to have grown up in the Castle Park neighborhood of Chula Vista in South Bay, where my family and I used the Bayshore Bikeway to commute and get around our beautiful South Bay region. And I'm really honored to be here today to support Councilmember Marcus Bush's nomination for the chair of the Bayshore Bikeway Working Group. He's an exceptionally well-qualified candidate for this position. And he's considered a leader, a national leader, actually, in the urban planning space. And as I pointed out, I've had the honor to get to know him over the last several years, and we've worked closely together. I found him to be incredibly compassionate, intelligent, hardworking individual who really brings a community, elected officials together to advance shared public interest. He does that in a way that that involves community members in planning neighborhoods, involves community members in the policy making element of this important work. He's going to be a great ambassador for a beautiful Bayshore Bikeway, and also help lift up the sections of the bikeway that need those improvements, as were pointed out by some of the speakers. He understands the importance too of environmental justice and the legacy of that work, the legacy of environmental injustice, and how we can go about to address those historic inequities that especially our communities in the South Bay, National City, Western Chula Vista have experienced, Barrio Logan as well. So I'm really honored to support Councilmember Bush's nomination and encourage you to support him as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Linda, is there any further public comment?
No, I believe there are any other comments.
I'll ask for committee member comment, and I just want to offer my support for Councilmember Bush as chair as well, echoing much of what Randy just shared. But I've known the council member as an advocate, as a leader, as someone who knows how to get things done, as a community organizer, and as a passionate cyclist. So I know he'll do an exceptional job, and I would support this nomination.
Chair, this is Jill Galvez.
Councilmember Galvez, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I really enjoyed the testimony and the nominations here, and the nominations for Councilmember Marcus Bush to chair the Bayshore Bikeway. And I'm excited for him to take the reins. So I will be supporting him wholeheartedly, and especially because with his background and experience, he will be determined to finish some of these remaining segments. And especially important to me is what Bill Walton said, what Maureen said, hold the cities accountable, and we need to all participate and ensure that the Bayshore Bikeway is 100% safe for families and people of all skills and abilities all the way around the loop. And so I'm looking forward to his leadership, but I also want to encourage him to really hold us all accountable for the segments in our district, and that includes our regional partners in the port, the county, and Sandag, of course. Thank you.
Thank you. further committee comments?
I'd like to speak if there's no other committee comments.
Yes, thanks, Marcus.
Yeah, just super honored and humbled to have the nomination and all the love and the comments and support, and just from everyone. Just really appreciate that. And you know, a lot of people don't realize, but you know, part of why I'm interested in this position, it's really symbolic. It would be really symbolic to have a representative of National City. A lot of folks don't realize that the Bayshore Bikeway got its start 45 years ago in March of 1976, when the city of National City initiated and funded a Caltrans study to study, and this was money out of our city paying for a regional project. And then from there, we got the momentum and the buy-in. And so, and you know, don't believe me, check it out. It's on the 2006 Bayshore Bikeway plan. So I cite my sources there too. So, but it just, it'd be an incredible honor. And, you know, even though this was a project 45 years in the making, as we've heard in the public comments, you know, there's still some improvements, there's still some work to be done, particularly our National City segment, which we'll hear the progress about later in the presentation, as well as Bayou Logan, for example. And, you know, we want to see these projects in these segments move forward, our region. And when we talk, like, let's remember that when we talk about these improvements, let's not forget equity. And specifically the SANDAG board has made equity just recently more of a focus. And so when we talk about that, we talk about historically underserved communities like National City, like Bayou Logan, among others. Like, we need to make sure that these investments in our infrastructure, that that we're doing it, that it's safe for folks, that we're engaging, we're putting in the work to try to get the resources from regional, state, from the federal government. And, you know, equity does not mean that we have to take away from other cities. It doesn't mean that we have to take away from other communities or a region. So I think we can all work together. We all are, the Bayshore Bikeway is one network. And I want to collaborate with you all, the city of Coronado, Imperial Beach, Chula Vista, obviously the city of San Diego, stakeholders, the business community, the port, to make these improvements and take this to the next level, and really fulfill the work that former Supervisor Greg Cox has done to this point. And just real quick, just you heard a little bit about my background, but and I appreciate, especially from Councilmember Rios, for going over that. But so even though I acknowledge that I am new in this committee, and a lot of you have served for years, and I'm new as an elected official, I'm not new to the issues, whether it's advocacy or the technical planning aspect of it. So I got an undergraduate in city planning from SSU, master's in real estate development. I worked in SANDAG, both in the project management and regional planning office, in addition to the public and private sector. I've run meetings before as chair of our planning commission, former chair of our planning commission, and as president of our local Rotary Club. And as you've heard before, avid bike rider, I have an Escape W, and from the Giant company. And, you know, it's a road bike that I use to commute and use for recreation with my wife and kids on the Bayshore Bikeway. And I'd love to meet with each, if I am lucky enough to get chair, I'd love to meet with each of you, hear your ideas on how we can move a Bayshore Bikeway, continue to move that forward, your ideas, whether it's artwork. I know there's a lot of segments that really could use some sprucing up. Like, it would be great to have artwork and partner with nonprofit organizations like A Reason to Survive, and, you know, have that be a community driven process, and you know, or even partnering with the Kumeyaay community, and seeing what we could be doing to landscape and honoring the Tipai and the Ibai people that have been here for thousands of years. So I'm open to a lot of different things, and I definitely want to hear all of your ideas, but I'd be honored to serve as chair, and just really honored and humbled. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Bush. Linda, if there's no further comment, can we call for a vote?
We have Bill Walton, this hand
Okay.
raised, Andy.
All right, Bill.
Hire this guy immediately. This guy is fantastic. Where's he been my whole life, man?
Sit tight. I think we're
okay.
About to help you out.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Linda,
Terrific job, Marcus. Terrific job.
Okay,
Thanks, Bill.
yeah, let me call roll here. Councilmember Galvez,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovan,
Donovan, yes.
Councilmember Leyba Gonzalez,
Leyba Gonzalez, aye.
Councilmember Bush,
Yes.
Councilmember Moreno,
Moreno, yes.
Mr. Hanshaw,
Yes.
Commissioner Naranjo,
Yes.
Mike Way, is Mr. Wywoody here? Okay. That nomination passes unanimously, Andy.
Congratulations, Chair Bush. Nice to welcome you. And I believe this is when I can hand over the virtual gavel
Right.
to you. So
Thanks. I'll take it.
I will do that with my pen. But congratulations, and really excited for your leadership.
I appreciate that. No, thank you so much, Andy, and all of your service and your years on the Bayshore Bikeway Committee. So just really appreciate everything that you've done, and just look forward to continuing to work with you. So we still have an action on this, and we still have a vice chair that we need to nominate. And I would like to go ahead and one person that expressed interest that I've heard was Councilmember Matthew Leyba Gonzalez. What I like about this is he's new, he's a cyclist as well, and has a lot of experience riding, has a couple road bikes himself. And I also appreciate, you know, the geographic diversity too, and being in Imperial Beach, right adjacent to the city of Coronado, as well as South City of San Diego, and you know, here in National City, right next to District 8 and in the city of Chula Vista. So I'd like to nominate Councilmember Matthew Leyba Gonzalez for the vice chair position.
Hello, Chair. I would like to second your motion.
Great. So we have a second. Motion made by myself, a second from Port Commissioner Sandy Naranjo, and Councilmember Matthew Leyba Gonzalez. Do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I do accept. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other names from the floor that would like to be considered for vice chair? Staff, do we have any hands raised? If you all don't mind kind of assisting me with that as I pull up this agenda.
Yeah, John can confirm, but I do not believe I see hands raised.
That's correct.
Great. So we have a motion and a second. Are there any members of the public that would wish to speak on this item? And I will time it at 2 minutes per person. So is there any members of the public that would like to speak on this?
Chair Bush, I believe Bill Walton has his hand raised.
Yes, Mr. Walton.
My name is Bill, and I don't know the name of the person who's going to be the vice chair here, but I would like to hear a little bit from him about his background, his passion, and what he intends to do as the vice chair, besides say yes to you.
Great. Well, I'm sure you'll get an opportunity to hear that. So thank you for your comments, Mr. Walton.
Bill's name, Bill.
Oh, Bill. Okay, Bill. Thank you so much, Bill. So with that, do we have any other public comment?
No other comment.
Okay, so Councilmember Leyba Gonzalez, would you like to say a few words for us? Well, actually, before I get to that, you know, let me leave it open to, let me open it up to the floor to see if we have any other members of our working group that would any wish to speak before. Let me open it up and see if there's anyone else that wishes to speak. And I not seeing any hands raised. So with that, let's move this along. So go ahead, Councilmember Leyba Gonzalez, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Matthew Leyba Gonzalez. I'm a military veteran, spent 9 years in the armed forces, Persian Gulf, Desert Shield, Desert Storm veteran. I also received my education in education. I'm a liberal studies major, have an option in history. I had intended upon teaching, but I kind of fell into the trades. So I'm a blue collar worker. I used to pour concrete for a living. I seen you on your bike many a times, Bill Walton, on some of the jobs that I poured concrete on the UCSD job. Many of projects that I completed for the contractor I used to work for. As far as my bike riding, I have multiple beach cruisers, so it's apparent I'm going to need to get away from riding a beach cruiser and wearing flip-flops to getting one of them street bikes and putting some shoes on so that I could definitely hit some of these segments that definitely need attention. And I'm really looking forward to riding along with Marcus to address some of these issues. That's pretty much what I have.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. And I see Councilmember Jill Galvez with her hand up. So go ahead, Councilmember.
Thank you. I'd like to second that nomination, primarily because I just looked at Matthew, and I haven't met you yet, Matthew, your profile and your website for when you were running, and there's a photo of you on your bike with flip-flops. So I think that's a picture's worth 1,000 words. So thank you very much. I'm happy to second.
Old. All right, Andy. Mr.
I'm just offering my support as well, and even though we haven't met as well, I'm very supportive of this nomination, and just a comment that the Bayshore Bikeway, I believe, serves all types of folks on all types of spokes, as I like to say, and so flip-flops are welcome, beach cruisers are welcome, and I think the Bikeway serves as much as a commuter route as a recreational route, and it's something for all of us to keep in mind, that it serves everyone of all ages and abilities. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Andy. And I don't see any other hands, so I will ask staff to go ahead and call the roll, please.
Okay. Councilmember Galvez.
Aye.
Councilmember Donovan.
Donovan, yes.
Councilmember Leyba Gonzalez.
Leyba Gonzalez, aye.
Councilmember Bush.
Yes.
Councilmember Moreno.
Moreno, yes.
Mr. Hanshaw.
Former Chair Hanshaw, yes.
Commissioner Naranjo. Commissioner Naranjo.
She might be, yeah, she's on the road, so she might be having some issues. Let's mark her as absent right now.
Okay, yes, thanks. And Mr. Wywoody, I don't believe has joined us. Motion passes.
Great, moving on to the, so that I believe concludes our action items. So I believe next under reports is item number 5. So I will turn that over to Linda Cole.
Yes, thank you, Chair Bush. Very quickly, just to let you know that we have retooled, if you will, Bike to Work Day this year into Bike Anywhere Week, and that's May 16th through the 22nd. We have a lot of planned activities, a lot of prizes are in the offering, and if we would like any more information, we have that at our iCommuteSD.com website. So with that, I will turn it back to you, Chair Bush.
Oh, that was quick, thank you. And also I've been getting, so Commissioner Naranjo, if we can let her back into the room, yes, because she got kicked out. So if we can allow her back into the room, staff can do that, appreciate that. All right, moving on to, it looks like item number 6, overview of Bayshore Bikeway with from Chris Kluth. Haven't heard from him, I've seen him in a while. So Chris, what do you have for us?
Hi there. Congratulations, Chair Bush. It's been quite a journey for you. So glad to be here this afternoon. I was asked to give a brief overview of the Bayshore Bikeway, a little bit of the history and kind of what's going on for some of the new members. And also, I think, to kind of put the Bayshore Bikeway into context of our active transportation program and the other projects, and kind of how we consider the Bayshore Bikeway a key part of our network. I'll be going over some information here and doing a little retrospective. So let's see. Oh, good. So, the Bayshore Bikeway is part of our regional bike network, integrated into the regional bike plan that was first adopted in 2010, where we did a lot of outreach to different parts of the region and all the different cities. And subsequently then in 2013, the regional bike plan was part of our early action program, where our board of directors dedicated $200 million in Transnet funds that we've used to leverage for, I think, close to another 100 million so far to construct, to plan, design, and construct the 70 highest priority miles of bikeways from the regional bike plan. That includes, of course, the Bayshore Bikeway, some other key regional bikeways like the Coastal Rail Trail and San Diego River Trail and the Inland Rail Trail, plus like the 30 highest priority urban projects that you see there in orange. Lots in the city of San Diego. And some of you are familiar with the project down there from the border to Bayshore in San Ysidro and Imperial Beach. So let's see. So when we go about considering what we're going to do with our projects, we really strive to design for people of all ages and abilities, because we know that's really the only way we're going to actually get more people out riding and make things safe for people who want to get around and have a choice to not have to drive everywhere if they don't feel like it. So we do that by providing as many protected bikeways and separated bikeways like Bayshore Bikeway, and there's some of our more urban areas. In the older neighborhoods, we incorporate a lot of traffic calming. Of course, there's some challenges to this, but we've been going pretty good so far. And I can't remember if this group has seen kind of a snapshot of what's happened over the last year or so, but if there's any upside to having more time on our hands, more people have been out biking, and so there's a little summary of some of the statistics that our folks have put together at Sandag. So up 42%, 84% of people have reported biking more often in the last year, and you can see the weekday volumes are up significantly, at least over a third. So I think if you're on the Bayshore Bikeway, you're probably somewhat familiar with all of the benefits of building better bikeways, of safety, equity, the chances to improve health, improve access, and lowering GHG. And then, of course, there's also some benefits for our business communities as well. Oops. So here's a little snapshot of our program, of our 70 miles. We still have about 7 miles that are in the early planning phase. Just one project in preliminary engineering, 36 miles in final design, of which part of the Bayshore Bikeway and Border to Bayshore are part of, 13 miles in construction, and 11.8 miles of the 70 have been completed. So here's actually a handy bit of information, because we get some of these questions pretty often about roles and responsibilities. So for Sandag, we don't really own or operate any of the local roadways or have land use powers, but for our bikeway projects and other regional projects, we fund, design, and build the projects. It's up to our local jurisdictions to, once the projects are done, to kind of accept those into their inventory of responsibilities, and they're responsible for maintaining the bikeways over time. And we do get some opportunities to work with our local communities, like to look for chances to provide street trees, landscaping, and enhance other types of enhancements. But again, usually the maintenance, as we've heard from a few folks, maintenance is a challenge. And so when we do provide some of these extra features, it's good to be able to identify funding sources, either from maintenance assessment districts or business improvement districts. So rather than just ramble on about a bunch of stuff that's happened over time, I did a little quick by the numbers here. So 24 miles all the way around. Some of you probably already knew that. Marcus got ahead of me on this one. So 1976 was the first segment completed for $50,000, or from $50,000, that was to widen the Harbor Drive Bridge over Choice Creek. Senate Bill 283 provided $1 million for the bikeway construction, and by 1983, another $1.5 million had been put into the bikeway, and some of the unused railroad right-of-way along the Silver Strand in Coronado and in Harbor Drive in the city of San Diego was used to kickstart the Bayshore Bikeway. Then in 1989, the Bayshore Bikeway Working Group was formed. There are 5 jurisdictions: City of San Diego, National City, Chula Vista, Imperial Beach, and Coronado. And of course, there are other significant folks who play a big role. Of course, the port, the Navy, and all the different communities and advocates surrounding the Bayshore Bikeway. Let's see. There were 4 miles completed between 93 and 2012 by the port, Imperial Beach, Caltrans, and the city of San Diego. And then in 2011, Sandag, this is when we got a little more involved in construction of the Bayshore Bikeway. And in March of 2012, Sandag completed a first 1.8 mile segment of the bikeway between Palomar Street and H Street in Chula Vista, with, of course, in partnership with the city of Chula Vista and the Port of San Diego. And then in 2015, we completed another 0.6 mile extension along Harbor Drive between 32nd and Vesta Street. Then in, let's see. Oh yeah, and then there's this segment was the first one that actually constructed, that was connecting the existing bike path in National City and the Gory Shields Bridge over the Sweetwater River. In 2018, the northern half of the National City segment was completed with the construction of a 1 mile separated bike path along Harbor Drive from National City to Civic Center Drive and Tidelands Avenue. $1 million was the approximate cost to construct a mile of bikeway way back in the day. 10, you can see where this one's going. $10 million a mile currently in today's dollars. That's as an example of our Barrio Logan segment. That one's coming in around $10 million a mile for construction support. Things get expensive. And 207,000 over approximately the last year. That's how many users were on the Bayshore Bikeway. It's probably more than that, but that's how we, some statistics we put together using our one permanent counter. That's part of a network of 10 that Sandag is now maintaining around the region. So you can see on the graphic there, 184,000 people were biking past this spot, and another 23,000 people walked past that. So sometime we would like to, I think it'd be great to get an annual estimate of the total number of users, because obviously not everyone in the year went past this spot. I think that would be a really big number to show how many different parts of the community and how many different kind of key segments of other bikeways are coming into kind of the hub that the Bayshore Bikeway serves as. So I know a lot of you have been around the Bayshore Bikeway probably many times, but just a quick tour starting at the San Diego Ferry Landing, cruising down the Embarcadero in the city of San Diego. If you go down National City, there's one of the newer sections there completed on Harbor Drive, and keep heading south, and you can cross the famous Gordy Shields Bridge. And once you get to Chula Vista, there's one of the old school Bayshore Bikeway signs, another newer section there on Bay Boulevard, and then the infamous section on the Salt Works. Still looks pretty cool, at least, but it would be nice to get that section done, of course. And then Imperial Beach has seen some big projects finished over the years, little kind of before and after shots that I was able to dig up from the archives. And there's Randy there. You can see him in his helmet. And here's an example of some of the economic impacts that new bikeways can bring. The Bikeway Village in Imperial Beach, and then an example of one of our branded wayfinding signs for the Bayshore Bikeway as well. And then continuing up the Strand to Coronado, and then around the golf course, back over to the ferry landing to head back to San Diego. And that's our quick overview of the history and some of the different segments and sections of the Bayshore Bikeway. So obviously you guys know how to get in touch with us, but here's some pertinent information on contacts. And that concludes our Bayshore Bikeway retrospective for the day.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that comprehensive overview, Chris. And remind us all again, how long have you worked at Sandag and on these bike projects?
Came over to Sandag 2003 with the consolidation. So pretty much ever since then. And I got that first regional bikeway master plan together back in 2010. So that started in 2008. So it's been a long time coming, but we've got a slew of projects coming up along with the Bayshore Bikeway projects over the next 1 or 2 years. Y'all will be seeing a lot of our big regional projects going into construction. So that's very exciting.
Beautiful. No, I thank you so much, Chris, for your service and all your work on this. Part of the reason I bring that up too is that a lot has changed in the last 20 years. And I have to give Chris a shout out because, in the early 2000s and heck, or early 2010s, like the support for biking and active transportation was not what it was today. And it's taken a long time. And I just really appreciate Chris's endurance. And I know like Andy and a lot of the bike advocates listening can attest to this, like how much of a challenge and how much pushback we've gone over the years. So I feel like we're really turning the corner and ready to take level. So just really appreciate your patience and your continuing work on this. So I made a mistake, knew I would, I'm going to moving forward, but the last item, I did not call for public comment. So I'll make sure to call for public comment this time. So staff, do we have any members of the public wishing to speak on this item?
Chair, I don't see any hands raised on this item. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, Nicole Burgess.
Okay, got it. Nicole, 2 minutes, please.
Sure, thanks, Chair.
And congratulations. And thank you, Chris Cluth. It was actually, I just want to say thanks for sharing the information that Choyas Creek was the first project widening the bridge across there, as we know that segment is still of concern. So thank you for sharing that, and it was a great overview of the program.
Great. Thank you, Nicole. Do we have any other members of the public wishing to speak?
No other public comment, Chair.
All right, I'll turn it over to member comments. Do we have any questions or comments from our members? No. Do we have any hands raised, staff? Anything I'm missing?
No hands raised.
All right, well, so thank you all. So with that, we're going to go ahead and move it along to the next item then. And that is item number 8, and that is the Choyas Creek Bikeway status report. And that is Everett Hauser from the city of San Diego that's going to be providing that. So are you ready to present, Everett?
Yes, I believe I am. Thank you, Chair.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too, friend. Good afternoon, working group members. My name is Everett Hauser. I'm with the city's Transportation and Stormwater Department. And allow me to share my screen. And this will be a brief update on the Choyas Creek to Bayshore Bikeway. As has been previously reported to this group, the city was working on a project to connect the Choyas Creek to the Bayshore Bikeway through Petway Park. It has a long history. Way back in 2014, I think it kicked off. And then it stalled a bit in the 16-17 timeframe. But a couple of years ago, we were able to get some funding back to finish the design. And so we continue to work on that and to move that along. And it is now featured in the Barrio Logan Community Plan Update, which is now out for public review. So there's the cover and the link below. And so I'm just going to highlight that briefly here today. Here is the figure from the plan, the plan to bicycle network. And as you can see, Choyas Creek here, this was an element from the previous project, class 1 along the creek, coming down to Main Street along Rigel. And where the previous one continued along the creek and then down 32nd, this alignment will continue along Main Street and connect at Schley to the Bayshore Bikeway. So again, as I mentioned, we continue to work on the design to move this forward, complete that, and then we'll work on getting some construction dollars to finish this project up. Other elements of the plan that may be of interest, of course, are the additional policies related to bicycling. And so the one I wanted to highlight for the group today was again 3.5.4 down here, still supporting a connection down 32nd Street. If we can find the available space, knowing that there's still a lot of changes to occur in the area with both Sandegs projects, Navy redevelopment, and Vesta Street Bridge opportunities. So we'll continue to keep that in the plans and seek to provide as many connections as possible over the course of time and bikeway development. And so, of course, if anyone's not familiar, this is actually Michael Prinz from the Planning Department's project, and they are open for question, comment, and suggested edits to the community plan, for all topics as well. And they've identified May 21st as the deadline to provide comments for the Barrio Logan Community Plan. And that concludes my short presentation and update.
Great, thank you, Everett. Appreciate that update. Do we have any members of the public that wish to speak on this item?
Chair Nicole Burgess wishes to speak.
Great, Nicole, 2 minutes.
Great, thanks, Chair. And thank you, Everett, for the presentation. As you know, the Choyas Creek Coalition is very involved with this connection, as it really is an important and vital connection. And hearing that this was the route of the Bayshore Bikeway in 1976, it is just more important than ever that we really evaluate this connection. I appreciate staff, Linda Culp and others to advocate for this connection down 32nd Street, as it is the direct link from Choyas Creek, the alignment that can get us all the way to La Mesa and Lemon Grove. And it really, you know, I've ridden there a couple times in the last couple months, and it's like, we have to be able to have that direct access to the waterfront. For residents that come down the Choyas Creek that want to go south, it's kind of pointless for us to go to the north before we head south. So I really hope that this will continue to be a priority to be looked into as an extremely important corridor, moving our residents up into City Heights at Oak Park and District 4, 8, and 9. So thank you for the presentation, Everett, and appreciate your comments.
All right, thank you, Nicole. Any other members of the public that are wishing to speak?
I see no other hands raised, Chair.
Great, okay, I'll open it up to any members of our working group that wish to speak or have questions. And I have one, but I'll leave it up to anyone else who wants to chime in first. Anyone? Yes, Councilmember Moreno, this is your district, so go ahead.
So thank you for the update. And I just wanted to update the board, or the body, I should say, on some of the work that I've been doing at the city of San Diego. One of the biggest items that I brought forth was the equity fund. And the equity fund, the purpose of the equity fund, which just to by way of background, we are putting 10% of the franchise fee into this fund, as well as 1% of our Transnet and 1% of our gas tax fund. Obviously, we're the city of San Diego, so we're pretty large and robust in the amount of money that we receive. And that is to the tune of $5 million this year. The purpose of creating the equity fund is to address our climate action goals based on our climate equity index. So basically the index that was created a few years ago basically said to us that the areas in primarily District 4, 8, and 9 are the areas of concern for our climate goals, if you will. So a lot of that funding is to be directed towards those regions, or towards those districts, I should say. And the purpose of the funds is really to address matters such as bike paths. For the purpose of the conversation today, it can address our bike paths, it can address our parks, it can address our sidewalks, it can address our lights. Basically, we have to spend a little more money in those communities because they literally have been forgotten for years. And sometimes, I've worked for the city of San Diego now for 11 years. And sometimes it's the little pockets of fund for design, for your EIRs that really really affect a project. So that was the reason why I created the equity fund. And so we continue to monitor these projects, not only the Choyas Creek Bikeshore project, but also the Harbor Drive area of it. I'm happy to give more of an in-depth presentation at a later date, but we are on top of it. We are listening. So the more people that contact our office, the more we can in turn push the mayor and say, hey, this is what our community is asking for. So continue with your advocacy. And thank you, Mr. Hauser, for the presentation. We continue to request for updates and keep our projects alive, in particular in my district. So I'm happy to hear the update and happy to address any comments, any questions. Feel free to reach out to me in my office, and I'm happy to meet on any bike matters. And so thank you.
Great, thank you, Councilmember Moreno, and I really want to appreciate you for your work on the equity fund. That was a lot of work to set up, and as we continue to talk about equity, it's so important that we make sure we bring that up and we do the work. And so any way that we as a body can potentially help moving forward, please let us know. And I'm sure there's going to be there might be one-on-one like questions that the members might have for how that's set up or what we can do to help. So definitely want to do that because the Choice Creek Bikeway, it's a regional asset, and as you said, it connects all these different communities. Nicole brought up that I think the long-term vision. Actually, I'll put this as kind of a question to Everett. The long-term vision is that this goes along the historic Choice Creek, so through D8, D9, D4, all the way to La Mesa. So timeline-wise, what was kind of the best case scenario for potential completion of that? And I know there's a lot of issues like with different right-of-way acquisition and private property and all that, but what's kind of the long-term vision for making that connection?
Yeah, thanks, Marcus. I think I'd expect about a year to finish up design, and then it would begin to go into construction, and that would probably take another 2 to 3 years.
But that's not on the entire like segment, right?
No, so that was the most southerly portion, but we do have other projects along Choice Creek. Some of them are within more along the storm channels that exist. I know, and Nicole knows this about the Federal Avenue project that Choice Creek Coalition is continuing to work on. I believe that's with DSD right now for review. So, we can follow up with any particular segment you're interested in, but I know there's several in the works.
Okay, and then the May 21st workshop. It's comments until May 21st, or there's a specific workshop?
I don't know if there's any specific workshop, but they do have a working group that meets regularly with lots of information available on the website.
Awesome. So no, I appreciate that. That's an opportunity for our members to submit comment and encourage folks to provide comments as well. I imagine hopefully you guys are working with Groundworks or they're a stakeholder and they're involved because they've done a lot of work on the creek. And the other little fun fact I just learned this year, Choyas, a lot of folks don't know Choyas, the name is derived from the Kumeyaay village called Choyas. It was at the foot of the creek. And so this one area that I'd encourage staff to be proactive in doing that community outreach. And if there's any way to incorporate that art and just that community into this, I think it'd be really good because I'd like us all to be better at honoring the Kumeyaay history and the people who've been here thousands of years. So.
All right, great, thank you.
Great. All right, any other comments?
It looks like we have a public comment from Nicole.
Nicole, I already opened it up, but you can speak on the next item. But yeah, you had your time, Nicole. So I'll let you speak on the next item. So we're going to move on. We have item number 9, which is the National City Bayshore Bikeway segment 5. And Luca is going to give a presentation about that. And Luca, are you ready to present on that?
Yes. Congratulations, council member. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me share my screen. Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Luca Zappillo from the Engineering Public Works Department and of the City of National City. And today I'm going to provide a quick update of the Bayshore Bikeway Segment 5 project. The Bayshore Bikeway Segment 5 is a 1.5 miles of protected bicycle facility, Class 1 and Class 4 along Harbor Drive, McKinley Avenue, Bay Marina Drive, and the Marina Way. The city and the design consultant, that is Chen Ryan, are still in the preliminary design phase of this project. And basically we are working to define the final alignment of the bikeway path. Currently we are working with multiple agencies, including Caltrans for the National Environmental Policy Act, the NEPA study, the Port of San Diego, the California Fish and Wildlife, the BNSF, County of San Diego, and the Coastal Commission. In terms of project schedule, we have here the plan specification, estimate, and right-of-way completion in January 2022. the expected start date for construction activities on May 30th, 2022. Construction completion would be in November 20, 2023. Just please let me know if any questions. Matt Caputi from Charayan is here, and we are here to answer to any questions. Okay.
All right, thank you, Luca. Yeah, excited about this. This is one of the last remaining segments on the Bikeway, so really appreciate that. Do we have members of the public that want to speak? Nicole, I think you wanted to speak on that last item, but so you have 2 minutes if you wanted to speak. Staff, is Nicole raised her hand? Is she ready to speak?
That's fine. I just real briefly, comments on the last agenda item, and I appreciate Moreno and you and your the equity fund. And I just want to let you Groundworks and Troyes Creek has been advocating, and what we really need for that alignment is the Troyes Creek Regional Park Master Plan. And so, like Moreno says, just some of that design funding money is super important. And so if we can look into that equity fund or some way to actually, we really need that master plan for that whole regional connection that you questioned about. So just wanted to just put a little context there, but thank you so much. I didn't mean to bother you on this item.
No worries. And then did you have you grew up in National City, have ties here. So do you have any comments or thoughts on this segment of the plans for this segment of the Bikeway in National City?
Just very excited to see it get completed. So thank you.
Great. And staff, do we have any other members of the public that wanted to speak?
Chair, no other members of the public to speak.
All right. Do we have any member comments on this? Any member comments or questions? All right, seeing none, I wanted to thank our city staff. Luca, I really appreciate all your hard work on this. I know this is a really, really long time coming, and there's years of back and forth with the port, with a lot of the industry and businesses along, and so there was definitely some back and forth about these two alternative plans. And so it finally came together with this location. I think this is the best spot, and there's still some details to work out on this segment of along the Paradise Marsh. If you guys look at I'm moving my mouse around as if you guys could see this. If you guys look on the southern portion of the pink line, you can kind of see there's specific alignments that still need to be worked out, but I'm really happy to see this move forward. And the other thing I wanted to bring to folks' attention is our city council last week just moved forward a feasibility study for a pedestrian bridge across the I-5. So if you look at where the arrow and where it says Bay Marina Drive, we're looking at a feasibility study to see about a pedestrian bridge connecting the 24th Street trolley station to those eastern parcels just west of the I-5. A pedestrian and bike accessibility bridge, and that's really needed to connect the Bayfront. Yeah, right now, if you all know this area, to connect the east and west side of National City, and you'll hear about later on. There's another presentation that Chen Ryan will give about one of the connections that we're facilitating. But on this particular segment, it's underneath the I-5, and it's really inhospitable for pedestrians. It's really dangerous for cyclists. So we're putting a couple $100,000 in HOPE grant money and so hopefully we get that funded in the federal government to actually do a study and see, can we do a bridge connecting, and this would really connect that east part of National City, we know as OTNC, Old Town National City, to the waterfront, and hopefully encourage more transit and bike use out of that. So really excited about that potential. It's visionary, so it's still in the very infancy phases and still a dream at this point, but we're moving forward to make that along, and that does have an indirect connection to just improving our bike network. So we'll let folks know about that. And with that, I don't see any other comments. So thank you, Luca. We will move on to the next item. And that is back to D8, the Barrio Logan segment status report with Mr. Chris Carteret. So Chris, you ready?
I am ready. Thank you very much, Mark. Yeah, good to see you. Congratulations on becoming chair, and yeah, greetings to all working group members and to residents. Let's see, I think we've got the wrong screen here. Of course, right? Can't have it go smoothly. Oh my God, how do I get out
You're
of
doing
it?
fine, Chris. Don't worry.
I'm cracking up though. Okay, I'm gonna stop, do a new share, and I bet this will be the right one. There have been so many things discussed. Okay, nice. Okay, I'm gonna stop share. This is really annoying. I pride myself on just being masterful with this kind of stuff, so it's just killing me.
Oh, no, it happens. It happens to the best of us.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna drag my presentation. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna get off this screen and drag my presentation onto the other screen. Because, you know, I should have Mr. Walton giving a play-by-play of what I'm doing here. And then that would just really perfect everything. Okay, I think this is going to work this time.
I see it almost. There we go.
Is it working?
Thank you, Chris. Yep, it's up.
Nice work. Okay, thanks. I appreciate everyone's patience. Of course, we're on the wrong slide. There we go. All right, so Chris Carteret, project manager, Bayshore Bikeway Barrio Logan segment. I guess they're really segments 2 and 3, just because they have numbers, but we call it the Barrio Logan segment. I think that I just want to start by saying a couple of things. One is that we are really trying to serve all users, all ages and abilities, and I think the person shown on the bike here on the title slide, you know, I mean, this person could also ride a road bike in Lycra and clip-in shoes, but you know, flip-flops and fat tires, that's a way to go too. And our program is really proud to try to serve everybody, and that is a real important part of the Bayshore Bikeway. You know, that it does serve athletic riders as well as recreational riders, and then, you know, people of all abilities riding bikes in all different conditions for all different all kinds of different reasons. So in any event, I'm going to kind of update on 4 main categories. The first thing I want to say is that this has just been an incredibly challenging project. I don't know for how many years this has been on the agenda for status updates. I'm hoping that before long we'll be talking about construction. It is our intent to put the project out to bid very soon. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. And so, you know, we have a highly refined design, and we're just trying to hammer out a few difficult details with the City of San Diego, with BNSF, with MTS, and with San Diego Gas and Electric. And those last details are super difficult and have taken a tremendous amount of time. But we're confident, especially with construction becoming an imminent fact, that we can get that finally squared away. And so another challenging aspect is our right-of-way. I am happy to report that since my last presentation to the working group, we did finish our agreement with NASCO, and it's being executed now. And so that's a nice little accomplishment. We've also had great success moving our effort forward with the Port of San Diego, which is a 3-party, also with the City of San Diego. And so we're getting the last details of those hammered out and hope to move those forward to City Council and the Port Board. And then we have some pretty difficult stuff that we're working on with BNSF as far as right-of-way goes, and a lot of it ties into details about the grade crossings, and so that's the stuff that we're just relentlessly trying to get taken care of so we can just put it aside. But we're going to move forward with these items at risk because we just have to. Otherwise, we're going to lose our funding. So we also have something we're coordinating with the Navy in order to provide a second right turn lane at Gate 6 at the 32nd and Harbor intersection. And that kind of hinges on this pesky power pole that's prominently at the intersection. And so we meet regularly with SDG&E to see about advancing that. We met today, and unfortunately I didn't get any new information. So it's just really frustrating, and we continue to try, and the Navy are great partners, and they're with us, and we won't let go of this item, and we'll eventually get it done. So to discuss funding, we do have a substantial budget. Part of that has to do with the duration of the project and just how long we've been working on it. It's also a relatively expensive job in terms of the capital cost of constructing it and managing the construction. And you can see we've got several different flavors of money on it. We did recently have a nice action by the State Coastal Conservancy reiterating their support for funding the project. And we also anticipate bringing some pandemic relief stimulus money onto the project. We recently put in an application for a House earmark with the Honorable Juan Vargas in our 51st Congressional District. So, we continue to look for funding to bring onto the project, but we will be advancing it shortly for bids. So yeah, our goal is to have it out for advertisement by July this year, and by doing so, we can be pretty confident that we'll have the project awarded to a contractor by our funding deadline in January 2022. And to get technical with you, it's about a 480 working day project, so that'll amount to probably a little more than 2 years of construction duration, and then we should have a rideable bikeway, which is going to be fantastic, and it's a pleasure to be working on it for the residents of our region. And I also just want to thank the people that work so hard on this, our designers, especially Kirk Bradbury and Matt Capuzzi of QIC and Chen Ryan, respectively. They're just really dauntless, and I get presented with a flaming hoop, and essentially they jump through it for me and seem to come out the other side unscathed with new ideas, and we just keep going. So thank you, and thanks to all the residents and stakeholders for their continued support. And that is my presentation.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris, and all your continued hard work as well. And Chris, how long have you been at Sandig and on the bike projects?
Yeah, I started January 2012, and pretty much first day on the job, I started working on Rose Creek Bikeway and Encinitas Coastal Rail Trail. We're hoping to have Rose Creek Bikeway open by the end of the month. We're trying to set a date for a ribbon cutting, not this month, but May. I'm already in May in my mind. So yeah, so over 9 years.
Yeah, almost that 10-year mark. So thanks again for all of your hard work over at San Diego and all these bike projects. And with that, staff, do we have any members of the public that wish to speak on this item?
I don't see any hands raised, Chair.
Great. I will turn it over to, or see if Councilmember Moreno, since this is her district, I want to see if she had any comments, thoughts, or any.
No, just thank you, Chair. Just thank you to Chris and everybody who's working on this. I know there's been a lot of hiccups, but I think good things come to patient people, right? So we keep on chipping away at this, and so thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Awesome. And then do we have any other members of our group that wish to speak? Any hands raised? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Chris. And we'll move on to the other Chris Romano for the Border to Bayshore Bikeway status report. And I believe this is also in Councilmember Moreno's district. You have all the bike project updates going on. So Chris, are you ready for your update?
I am. Hi, everyone. You all are lucky you get all 3 bike program Chris's today. Anyway, for those of you who I haven't met, I'm Chris Romano. My pronouns are he and him. I've been at Sandag for 4 years, just to get that question out of the way, always working on the bike program. And before that, I worked in many other parts of the country on active transportation efforts. All right, so I am here today to talk about the Border to Bayshore Bikeway. Once I find the full screen, yeah, okay. So Border to Bayshore Bikeway is an 8.25 mile urban bikeway. It connects from the San Isidro port of entry to the Bayshore Bikeway. It's got a whole bunch of different types of facilities throughout the almost 8.5 miles, as you might suspect. And it includes things like cycle tracks, buffered bike lanes, bike boulevards, and multi-use paths as well. It's within both the cities of San Diego and the city of Imperial Beach, and so we've been coordinating closely with both jurisdictions. And this project also is funded through an over $10 million competitive active transportation program grant. So very excited to be able to bring these types of facilities to this community through the grant efforts. I'm not going to get too into the project details. I can do that at a later time if desired. But just to speak kind of about where we're at with the project, we are almost done with our review phase with our partner agencies. So we've been working, I mentioned the city of Imperial Beach, they've already approved the plans. The city of San Diego is very close to approving the plans. In addition, this project crosses it has 3 points where it crosses a rail line. And so we've also had to coordinate with MTS and the CPUC and Caltrans to get permits for those efforts as well. And so we have also kind of wrapped up those discussions and come to an agreement that we think works for everyone. And so we're just waiting for final sign off for those. So like I mentioned, we're pretty far along in this one. We're thinking that we're going to be advertising the project in fall of this year, and that we'll begin construction early next year. Because it's such a long project, it's probably going to take like 2.5 to 3 years to actually finish the construction. So we're looking to be open to the public in 2025. And then we've got my contact info on this last slide. But I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
Great, appreciate that presentation, Chris. Staff, do we have any members of the public that wish to speak on this item?
No members of the public, Chair.
Great. I think this is in D8 in Councilmember Moreno's district, and it sounds like Imperial Beach. So do either of you have, I see Councilmember Leiva Gonzalez has his hand up.
Councilwoman Moreno, would you like to go first? Because it starts in your area and then it goes right in front of my house, actually. Yeah, I'm very excited. I was very supportive of this. This actually makes that right turn off of Grove and 13th. I live on Grove, so it's literally half a block. So ultimately, I will be hopping on this section on my beach cruiser to meet up with Marcus once we connect it at the end of 13th. So I'm very excited. I've seen the rendering of what's going to happen to 13th and Imperial Beach Boulevard. It makes that whole intersection way much safer because we just completed the improvements to Imperial Beach Boulevard, and that's kind of the intersection where it merges from 2 lanes into 1. So I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Vice Chair. Do we have anyone else that from our group that wanted to speak? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the next item, which is the Bayshore item number 12, Bayshore Bikeway signage improvements projects. The staff, you ready?
Yeah, hold on, let me share my
Yes, no worries.
Can you see it okay?
Yep.
All right, congratulations on becoming chair. Hi, I'm Signe Wirtz. I'm a public outreach intern at Sandag. I'm going to give a brief update on Go by Bike wayfinding signage and You Are Here map signage. These projects are funded by the County of San Diego Neighborhood Reinvestment Program. So we identified areas around the bikeway in need of additional replacement and updated wayfinding signage and design signage that we plan to fabricate and install soon. And then we have also developed some You Are Here map signage around the entire bikeway to show the context of the bikeway and improve wayfinding. These You Are Here map signs will help people see where they are along the bikeway in context of potential destinations they can reach using the bikeway. We received a sample sign from our vendor and we are making a few small changes before we fabricate the rest. We plan to fabricate and install these signs within the next couple of months. Natalie and I are happy to take any questions on the wayfinding signage at this time. Thank you.
Great, thank you for that presentation, Signe. I heard you say that you were an intern. I'm curious, is this your first presentation?
No, I've presented on this topic a couple of times already.
No wonder, so expert, okay. Well, hey, from one former Sandag intern to another, awesome job, so thank you for that. And I see a couple hands raised, but let me go ahead and call on members to see if there's members of the public that wish to speak first. Staff, is there any members of the public that wish to speak on this item on the signage?
Chair, no members at this time.
Great. I think Mr. Hanshaw had his hand up first. So Andy, and then I'll go over to Councilmember Galvez.
Thank you, and thanks for the update from staff. I was just curious if there, many people when they're biking would like to look at directions and signage on their phone or their app, and if there's any capabilities there that are planned, or if there's an update to an app kind of thing.
Not in this specific signage.
Yeah, I mean, just directional, more or less.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take a look. I've been updating, I think people commonly use, standard navigation as Google Maps and Apple Maps, and those programs have started adding bike routes. So I'll take another look because I've been updating new features through some of our other projects, like we're adding roundabouts. So I'm having those added to those map features so people who are navigating in those neighborhoods have it. So I'll make sure that the Bayshore Bikeway route is reflected. I can, submit reports to them. They sometimes take some time, but I'll take a look to make sure that we're digitally equipped for people to route themselves around the Bayshore Bikeway as well.
That's great, Natalie. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks, Andy. Great question. Councilmember Galvez.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I concur with Andy about having a QR code or something that you can pull up, and then maybe we can add to that later and add the route as it's added, or different programming features or announcements, that would be great. And this has just come up recently as a portion of the Bayshore Bikeway has been completed, the scenic route through Chula Vista. And that is, on occasion, we're going to need to add some signage to possible existing signs, just in case, because, for instance, I've been asked and requested to install a rattlesnake warning sign, because apparently now that's a thing. And just to reduce the sheer number of signs that we have on the Bayshore Bikeway, will these sign poles be able to accommodate a small, little mark or additional notifications for bicyclists as they do the loop?
Yeah, I think in the local jurisdictions, if there's an interest in adding additional signs to the poles, it shouldn't be an issue. Usually there's, suggested clearances so that people riding aren't gonna, be in conflict with the signage, but it is typically out in the shoulder or beyond that where that shouldn't really be an issue. So the clearance is kind of based on preference in the local jurisdiction. So if there's additional signage, I mean, hopefully it's not so large. The panel sign is pretty substantial, but below that we'll be putting a small go by bike disc. It's a 7-inch round, but in other locations along the bikeway we do have like regulatory signage and other things included on the same pole, so I don't think that would be a concern. And funny you mentioned rattlesnakes. I don't know what type of snake I saw, but I did see a snake on the bikeway in Imperial Beach a few months ago. So
yeah, they're probably coming from Chula Vista. All of our construction has kind of unsettled the snakes. But thank you very much. And what would be the process if we did want to get, a small addendum? And is there you probably have a design model or some sort of style template? How would we go about doing that?
yeah, I think we can connect. We can work with Linda too. We do have some guidance on supplemental signage when it tends to be more regulatory, which seems to be what you're mentioning. I don't think it really needs to meet some of the criteria that we would recommend from our wayfinding signage. But if you're looking for standardized wayfinding signage as part of the program to add on to a new section of the bikeway, we can absolutely coordinate that effort. I think our guideline would be for the cities to take on the design and fabrication of a sign, but we can provide the guidelines and review and recommend a vendor and things like that.
That'd be great. We can do our own signs. I was just wondering in terms of a style template or something so that it kind of looks cohesive. And Chula Vista adds something about our rattlesnakes, and then Imperial Beach does the same, or something else that they'd like to be able to post. It would be nice to have some sort of style template with colors or things of that nature. Thank you so much. Great presentation.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments, questions? All right. So let's move on to
Chair. One
yes.
public speaker.
Oh,
I believe
go ahead.
Nicole Burgess wanted to speak on that item.
Go ahead, Nicole. 2 minutes.
Thank you, and thank you, staff, for the presentation. It did just remind me of a question as Galvez was talking about extra signage. For those of you who are aware, the United States Bicycle Route System, USBR, we have a Route 95 that goes from the Northern California to the border. And just as Sandag is working on signage, we do have the city of San Diego and other jurisdictions in the region that have already given approval for this designation, and it would be super wonderful if we could just add a little USBR 95 on the bottom of these signs, especially just in all our Sandag bike projects if they are in alignment. A lot of those coastal rail trails are, and so just as a recommendation to include USBR 95 for that route.
All right, thank you, Nicole. And are there any other public comments? Okay, with that, let's move on to item number 13. So updates on projects related to Bayshore Bikeway. And that's where I believe, and staff, correct me if I'm wrong, each of us has opportunities of providing just updates going around. And I see a hand up. So staff, Matt.
Hi, Chair Bush. Congratulations on your appointment. I wanted to talk about one project in particular real quickly, share with the rest of the group. Let me see if I can share my screen. Okay. So this project's in National City. The city of National City applied for a grant through the California Natural Resources Agency's Recreational Trails and Greenways program. And as most of you probably know, Interstate 5 acts as a barrier for residents of National City to really access the Bayshore Bikeway and this future segment that Luca talked about earlier, segment 5. So this project, the grant was successful and the city received $1.66 million from the state. And the project is existing on 18th Street is one way, 2 lanes westbound, and on 19th Street is 1 way, 2 lanes eastbound. And these streets have very, very low volumes. So the project is to close off 19th Street to vehicular traffic and make it a new, comfortable, safe connection to the Bayshore Bikeway, the future segment that Luca mentioned earlier. I have some other little exhibits. This is called a greenway, so it's going to have some different elements. There's some public art that's proposed, some parkour stations, exercise stations, chess and checkers tables, some places to sit, security cameras and lighting for underneath the freeway there. And we have some conceptual design plans. This is where the greenway would tie into the Bayshore Bikeway segment 5 on the western end. And this is sort of underneath the freeway. And then, so basically we're going to be planting landscaping where we can. Obviously under the freeway, it won't grow very well. So those areas will be DG with some art features and some other parkours and chess checkers tables. And then this is where it ties back into the existing class 2 bike lanes on 18th Street that continue east through National City. This is what the area looks like now. And this is sort of the vision for what it's going to look like in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that update. Just so I'm, you're from Chen Ryan, right?
Yes, sorry, I should have introduced myself.
No worries. Yeah, no. So thank you so much for the work on that. I'm really proud of the work that Chen Ryan has done on just regionally on these active transportation projects. And so this is a project that I mentioned earlier, the potential pedestrian bridge over the I-5 connecting 24th Street trolley station to basically the Bayfront and Bayshore Bikeway. And that project is probably a good 7 to 10 years off still. And so I think this is a great connection on that 19th Street, which is a few blocks north, but it's still an important segment. So really appreciate that's a more short-term project and really appreciate that because it's needed. So thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, with that, we'll go ahead and go around the room. So I will go ahead and start with Andy Henshaw. Any updates for us?
Well, I'll just share that I am very hopeful at our July meeting that I will tell you confidently that we will have the return of the Bike the Bay event around the Bayshore Bikeway as a special event. All things improving and all restrictions lifted or whatever guidance we need to adhere to. But that date is August 22nd. And would love to see members and the public come out and join us. And last year it was all virtual, of course, and then this year we hope to make it the return and help out the coalition and show off the Bikeway. So August 22nd. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Andy. And I know it's a wait and see kind of thing, but please let us know as soon as possible so we can get that out to the group and promote. So it's a great event. We want to make sure that we're all there and championing that.
Thanks. Okay.
All right. Council Member Jill Galvez.
Thank you, Chair. I hope I'd love to see our show of hands to see who's walked or biked through Chula Vista on the new segment between G Street, excellent, G Street, and right around C or D, it's north of the Nature Center to our Sun communities, our RV resort. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's a split path between a Class A bikeway as well as a DG path for pedestrians, benches, native landscaping. It's absolutely gorgeous. And so, it links into the crusty parts of our bayfront that will be allowed to dilapidate while we do, a lot of work underground. Please forgive us and pardon our dust, but a lot of construction is going to begin this summer on our bayfront. We'll be doing infrastructure, sewer, electrical, water, and roads probably last, because a lot is coming down. So things are moving right along, and we expect that the Gaylord Hotel Convention Center will start. They should receive financing by this summer, and hopefully sticks in the ground pretty soon. I saw the frame of their sign, not their sign yet, but the frame is up, announcing what they're constructing. And currently the scenic path takes you between the Marine Group Boatworks on G Street all the way up to the new entrance of the Nature Center, and then it hooks back around. We've got a spur going on F Street that you can see the beginning of. And when that's complete, when we finish our F Street promenade, that will connect F Street with a nice bike and pedestrian path to downtown 3rd Avenue. So just pardon our dust. I heard Maureen's comments about, how bad conditions the roads are in. J Street is going to be straightened and treated. And that's also going to be a designated bike corridor through Chula Vista. So it's taking us a little while, but the plans are in place, the funding is there, and it's exciting. So come see it while it transforms. Vivian and I are going to be walking that soon, right, Vivian? Or Councilmember, thanks.
Awesome. No, it's really exciting. Thank you for that update, Councilmember Galvez. And I've seen so much work getting done. I think you guys opened a new, or the port opened up a new RV park, right? And some more housing.
That's the Sun Communities. And so there's an existing RV park just north of the marina, and that will come down in August. And that will be part of our harbor park. And the other RV park that they actually moved and opened a new one, $65 million investment with incredible views. So please take your families and go by that area. It's just spectacular, and all the flowers are in bloom. Can't recommend it highly enough.
Awesome. No, really exciting. And it's just right there off of our bikeway. So really exciting developments happening. Our Port Commissioner, Sandy Naranjo, any updates for the group?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So as I mentioned in my earlier comments that, what drew me up to the Bayshore Bikeway was my involvement in the National City Balance Plan. And I'm really proud to announce that the Port of San Diego is hosting a workshop on the Pepper Park expansion. So you don't have to live in National City, work in National City, or just love National City and be part of our workshop where we can hear your perspective on what the new expansion would look like. And so I definitely encourage all of you to participate. We definitely want to make sure that we're activating our tidelands and that it's inviting for everyone. So again, it's gonna be on Thursday, May 6th. 6 p.m. It's going to be on Zoom. It will be also interpreted in Tagalog and Spanish. So please come to our workshop. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Naranjo. And do you happen to have a link or anything that you would be able to post in the chat so that the members can see that? Do you happen to have that?
Unfortunately, right now I don't have the link because I'm still driving.
Oh, that's right.
But what I can do for the group, I can email out so everyone can have the link. And also, if you're watching this meeting online, you can go on the portofsandiego.org. And you can go under National City Balance Plan. And under the National City Balance Plan section of our website, you're going to find the Pepper Park workshop where you can register for the Zoom link.
Great. All right, thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate that update. So May 6th, and like Commissioner said, you don't have to be a National City resident, so we definitely want all the input we can get there on Pepper Park on the expansion plans. Councilmember Vivian Moreno, updates for the group?
Yeah, the one update, and I'll make it very short, is that the city of San Diego is going into its budget cycle. So this is the perfect opportunity for all the bike enthusiasts to please reach out to their council members or to all council members, and also attend the appropriate the departmental meeting. So that is starting off next week. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. Vice Chair Leiva Gonzalez.
Okay, last week I met with, I hope I don't mispronounce her last name. It's Sylvie Francek of the San Diego Bike Coalition. And we had a meeting with the city manager in regards to planning an event late July, early August. It'll be a 5-mile loop through Imperial Beach, but we're going to incorporate part of the Bayshore Bikeway involved in it. Very excited about it. I'm hoping that we're in a less restrictive tier so that, you know, we don't have to have so much of the COVID protocols implemented, but we've already kind of roughly gone over a route. I intend upon meeting her either this week or next week, and we're going to personally ride it together and discuss additional ideas. I will keep everyone posted, and I really would like to see as many individuals that can participate in that event upon it being set in stone. And I'm very excited about it. Thank you.
Sounds awesome. Thank you so much, Vice Chair, for that. Definitely want to, now that we are moving safer into these tiers and with the vaccinations, really hope that we can move forward with that. So thank you. And then staff, does Linda Culp or anyone else, do you have any announcements?
No announcements, Chair, but do have a member of the public wishing to speak.
Okay, yep.
Okay, that would be Greg Cox.
Oh, Supervisor Cox.
Hello there. It's a voice from the past. I just wanted to say, number one, congratulations, Chair Bush and Vice Chair Leiva Gonzalez. And it's good to know that the Bayshore Bikeway Working Group is in such good hands. I'm really impressed with all of the activities that are being planned right now and the projects that are under design. Obviously, I'll be a lot more excited when they're under construction. But in any event, I just wanted to let you know that it's great to see the new leadership. And it's always a pleasure to hear that Bill Walton is so intimately involved and interested in the Bayshore Bikeway. He's been an advocate for a long time. And it's nice to know that that advocacy and that interest is still there. So congratulations to all of you. I look forward to working with you in a different role as just a member of the public that's supporting what you're doing. And if there's anything I can do along the way, please don't hesitate to give me a call and let me know. Thank you.
No, thank you, Supervisor. It's an honor to have you back, and really glad that that even though you've retired, that you're still staying active and engaged and continuing the advocacy for active transportation justice in our region. So really appreciate all your hard work. And I hope to see you at the next bike ride or bike event. And congratulations on the naming the ceremony today. So really appreciate your hard work with that. With that, I believe that is it. And just really, again, want to thank all my colleagues and the members of the public who came and who spoke in support of me being chair. It's an honor to be in this role. And I really look forward to, in this next couple of months, setting up each individual meetings with my colleagues and all the representatives and seeing, any action items, a vision, any ideas, how, you'd like to see this working group work. So appreciate everyone. And with that, we will go ahead and adjourn. The next meeting is tentatively scheduled for July 2021. And it sounds like staff is going to confirm a specific date with us as that comes closer. So thank you, staff, and everyone. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.